Welcome back to the capsON podcast. My name is Tyler Blumenstick, joined by Nick Tobias, Anthony Mano, and Sam Meehan. It is week 5 of the NFL season. It's our 4th episode. We bring you every single betting line. Well, not every single one, but we touch on primetime games as well as locks of the week and make the case, which is a segment we'll get to later in the show. But we're going to kick it off here. Let's start with our locks of the week.
Wait. We're not going to talk about Thursday?
No,
shut your mouth.
Because you were all wrong and I was right. It's why you don't want to talk about it.
It was a birthday lock. It's the one time
you don't want to talk about it because I was right. You don't want to talk about it because I was right.
All right, fine. It was the one time in about 100 tries that you were right and we were all wrong, okay? Congratulations.
Nick,
okay?
You took 6 points with the Dolphins last week.
Hey,
Okay.
I did that too. And I'm going to do
yesterday?
it again this week.
What did I take yesterday?
I'm taking 9 with them this week too.
I don't know, Nick. Why don't you tell the people what you took?
I took the Bears plus 3.5, plus 4.5. I don't care. I took the money line. And who won the football game?
Yeah, because Tom Brady has fucking dementia. I forgot what down it was.
Bro, I don't care. Who won the football game?
The fucking Bears did, but
I know
hey,
they won the football game.
it was a classic birthday lock. So, but happy birthday, Nick. That's your one winner of the week. So,
Okay, we can move on.
yeah,
Even a blind squirrel gets a nut every once in a while.
Bro clock is right twice a day there, bud.
Yes, sir,
All right.
it is.
Let's transition into our locks of the week. Anybody want to kick it off?
I'll start because I won golf today. I'm going to start up. So some might say, hey, Sam, why the hell would you give 5.5 points to an 0-4 team? Meaning that my lock of the week is the Houston Texans minus 5.5 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I see Anthony's shaking his head no, but I think this is a Deshaun Watson fuck you game. Like, he's finally free of Bill O'Brien. Not that he was like necessarily holding him back, but he didn't like him very, very much. And
Nobody on that team liked
the
him.
Jaguars, you thought week 1 against when they beat up on the Colts, like, oh, are they going to be good this year? No, it was a fluke. They are the worst team in football. And
it's bold.
That's bold. They're worse than the Jets?
The worst team besides the 2 New Jersey teams. We'll say that.
New Jersey, okay.
Yeah, East Rutherford, baby. The worst stadium in football, but I digress. Jacksonville stinks. And I feel like Houston should not be – they're 0-4, but, like, they played – I know 3 good teams. Who did they play last week? Minnesota, who is back, and I'll get to that later. They played 3 good football teams and 1 team that who knows what the hell they are. I think 5 points against the worst team in football is easy. I think they're going to win this game by 3 touchdowns.
All right.
That's a lot of touchdowns.
That's a lot of touchdowns.
I think it's feasible. It's completely possible.
38-17 Texans.
If they open their playbook and let Deshaun Watson do what he is capable of doing,
that's what I'm expecting.
And not let him, do little dink and dunks and always playing from behind and trying to force the run game. I could see it too. I don't know exactly who's calling the plays.
It can't.
But I know Romeo Crennel.
I think they're just going to do Ask Madden every time, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think it could. I think it could get up there. I think the Texans are better than an 0-4 team. Their roster doesn't say 0-4. It's just the fact that I don't think they bought into what Bill O'Brien was pushing them anymore. We can see Deshaun Watson, bust a game open with his legs or with his arm. They're
due, honestly. They're just due for a win.
Yeah.
But does a
I
win
think that's a pretty safe
does a
pick.
win constitute them covering the spread? Now I look at Jacksonville.
Not necessarily. They're due for a win, but I think in this case it's going to be a dominant win. It's going to be, hey.
See, I don't know if it's going to be dominant.
The Jaguars suck, dude. The Jaguars are so bad.
The Jaguars' defense is not good, but you look at Houston's defense, who's really not that good either. I mean, Gardner Minshew for the Jaguars has really overperformed.
So are you going to put Minshew with Watson?
No, I didn't say that. But
What are you saying, Nick? What are you saying?
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, I think like if you're going so I think Houston's defense is better than Jacksonville's defense, and their offense is significantly better than Jacksonville's defense. I think 5.5 points is easy.
Their quarterback play is significantly better than Jacksonville. Yes, but you look at Houston as a whole, and I think Jacksonville's overall offense between DJ Chark, Keelan Cole, James Robinson, and their overall camaraderie and what they have as a team on the offensive side might be better off than what Houston has. I mean, yes, Houston has Deshaun Watson, who's a better overall quarterback than Minshew. I'm not going to argue that. But Minshew can make plays happen, and we've seen it time and time again from last year and early this year. I mean, a touchdown, what were we talking, 6 or 7 points here? I mean, we're talking a touchdown spread, and it's close. I mean, this game, I feel like
this game will not be close.
Not close.
If I see this game as a game that should have been played or could have been played in the UK, as like how it usually has been in previous years, and
So I feel like show what you're saying.
I feel like this game is going to be a lot closer than most people think. I mean, I think Houston squeaks out the win, but I think this game is going to be a lot closer than most people think.
Nick, you're just creating segments for us next week to shit on you once again.
If they open up that playbook and let Watson do his thing, it's not super important that he has like these. Obviously, Thunder Hopkins would be great in the situation, but he's.
But what does Randall Cobb really scare you?
No, like
if Stills really scare you?
If you really open up the playbook, that you don't need like these top tier receivers if they're wide the fuck open downfield with these shenanigans going on. If you want to talk about
opening up the playbook, then we'll talk about the Browns even previous, like last year or the past 2 years when they have OBJ, Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, and a top 5 pick.
That took some time, but all right.
I'm gonna do some crowd control here. This was Sam's lock of the week. We still have 3 more to get to and a couple more segments. So Nick, how about you give your lock of the week? And
sorry about that.
Okay. All right. Well, I was talking about the Browns before. I'm gonna talk about them right now. Browns plus 1.5.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
As a lock of the week. As a lock of the week. I think that right now they're a pick 'em actually. I take them.
It's gone from. I think they're actually now -1, but they were at plus 1.5 literally last night when I was at a bar with Tom. Fuck you, Tom. We're taking the fucking Browns.
They opened at 3.5.
They opened at 3.5, and the line has moved all the way down because Vegas understands that the Browns are a far better team.
I have to do that now, actually,
or the public
it moves any further.
Are we done?
Oh, now you're gonna ask that question.
Oh no, keep going.
Okay, the Browns are a far and better team than the Indianapolis Colts are. You look at an Indianapolis Colts offense. Well, I'll start with their offense. You're talking about Phillip Rivers, who was really on the bad side of his career. He isn't producing the way he used to when he was in San Diego or LA, whatever you want to consider it now. That offense, yes, he has a great offensive line. His wide receiving core isn't there anymore. He's got T.Y. Hilton, who can't really figure it out, Paris Campbell, Michael Pittman Jr., who are on the injury list. And it's not really too scary. I mean, you look at Phillip Rivers, and he's throwing pick sixes, and he's not a trustworthy quarterback. Cleveland, you're looking at, they put 49 points on the Cowboys defense last week, and now you look at the Cowboys defense, who's very.
I think my high school team could do that too, but.
All right, I don't know if. Okay, fine. You want to talk about fine. I don't think your high school team can do that. I don't think my high school.
That's
team
obviously
can do that.
it's not an exaggeration, but their defense stinks.
Their defense does stink, and that's fine. But Baker Mayfield looks like he finally has developed some sort of a chemistry, some sort of a rapport with OBJ, who had 154 receiving yards and 3 scores last week.
Yeah, 57 or 60 of those yards was from Jarvis Landry, so I don't know what report you're talking about.
Who throws dimes, by the way.
With his left hand. You know he throws a baseball with his right?
I saw that. That was weird.
Explain that?
Ambidextrous.
It's crazy.
I get it.
It's a fluke. It was a fluky. I think it was a fluky outburst.
I shoot full lefty, but I do everything else righty. I mean,
look, if I had to put a play on this game.
I get the logic there.
If I had to make a play on this game, I am actually trending towards the under. It's set at 47.5. Indy has one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah.
Like Nick mentioned, Phillip Rivers is without his top targets. Like, yes, he has T.Y. Hilton, but he's not T.Y. Hilton of the past. They have their dual threat tight ends. They're going to keep the ball on the ground. It's going to run the clock out. Cleveland has a two-headed monster of Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. That's going to be
Chubb's
time
is
off the
out.
clock. Look, I think this
what
game
was
is
that?
poised to go under. I could see this being like a maybe 30 to like 17 game, 28-17 game.
Wait, Nick, who's out?
Chubb.
Is it?
Regardless,
Yeah,
they're going to
Chubb-
keep the ball on the
Chubb's not
ground.
playing.
It's more a play on Indianapolis' slow offense and
Yes.
the fact
so
that they're
that's
going to be able to
my
move the
play
ball, but it's
here.
going to be on the ground.
And the under is a good shout here,
Are you
but
sure?
my whole thing on this game is Indianapolis's offense as a whole. You know, they've scored 7 offensive touchdowns in their past 4 games. And like I said, it really indicates a difficulty for Phillip Rivers and his whole offense to find the end zone.
No. Okay.
And I don't trust that team to score more than 20 points. Now, I look at Cleveland, and you look at what they have as a whole on their offensive side. Kareem Hunt is a stud. Okay, they have OBJ, Jarvis Landry. You have Austin Hooper, who was a baller last year. Maybe he isn't this year, but it seems like Stefanski is finding a way how to run this offense through Baker Mayfield, where Baker Mayfield looks comfortable.
He looks like a different quarterback.
He
Look,
looks like a different quarterback, and I feel comfortable taking the Cleveland Browns in this game. This would be 4 straight wins for the Cleveland Browns, which would be the first time in at least 5, 6, 7 years, and I feel comfortable taking it.
As you spoke, I put money on the Cleveland Browns before it even gets bigger than 1 point. So,
Yeah, I don't want to harp on this game any longer because we still have more to get to, but I'm going to just go with one final closing point on this. I look back to the Week 2 game, Indy versus Minnesota. I feel like Minnesota's offense can compare to Cleveland's offense in the way that they have a top running back. They have pretty good wide receivers in Adam Thielen and I mean, I would still give the Browns the edge, but Thielen and Jefferson are still capable of putting up points. And then Kirk and Baker Mayfield, they're pretty average quarterbacks. And but
Kirk
they still have the
Cousins is
ability to
just
put
don't
up
tell
points.
Mano that.
Oh yeah, let's not go on the Kirk Cousins.
They're
train,
average
please.
quarterbacks. They have the ability to throw in clunkers more often than they throw in a good game. They were kept to 11 points, the Vikings, against this Colts defense. And this Colts defense has only let up 29 points in the last 3 weeks. So take it for what you will. But, Mano, you want to go with your lock?
I'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I'm taking Carolina as my lock against Atlanta.
Oh, let's hear this.
I think, yeah.
Let's hear this.
For me, it's a lot
Falcons,
easier.
baby.
It's a lot easier to take the Panthers offense in this game, especially when the Falcons haven't played any defense this entire season. The
That's
Carolina
true.
Panthers, they don't have inspiring names on that offense, but when you look at what Teddy Bridgewater is able to get the ball to Mike Davis without CMC, Mike Davis is one of the better running backs in the league when CMC is out. They have Robbie Anderson, they have DJ Moore, and they have Curtis Samuel. That's 3 pretty good wide receivers that Teddy Bridgewater is able to get the ball to. I don't know why this is 1.5 when Atlanta has failed to play defense this entire year. It just feels
Vegas
off to me.
knows something.
Now I agree, and I think I'm pretty sure Atlanta's going to be without Julio too. But the Panthers, they beat the Chargers and the Cardinals and holding them to a combined 37
That's
points.
2 solid teams.
Two solid teams, and
Herbert's that dude.
I feel like you can't trust, and like Mano said, you can't trust Atlanta's defense at this point. You saw them how they got shredded last week by Aaron Rodgers.
Dude, everyone's getting shredded by Aaron Rodgers.
But it's not just shredded. You see Jace Toyin, whatever his name is, the tight end for the Packers, just sitting wide open for 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
And it just
they're
looks
bad.
like it's garbage. It's garbage. And I don't think Atlanta wants to play for their head coach anymore. I think that definitely plays a huge factor. So I could definitely see Carolina in this game.
You know, Dan Quinn's about 2 years, past when he should have been fired. So and maybe this year is finally the year that he's donezo.
If he loses this game and they go 5-5, if they go 0-5, I think that's where you have to pull the trigger.
Thought the
And
same
on the
thing
other
about
side of
Gase this past week, but he's still freaking there.
On the other side of that coaching staff, I mean, Carolina, led by Matt Rule and Joe Brady, like they look like that's something to be messed with. If they get legitimate pieces there, like a decent quarterback that's not Teddy Bridgewater, if they can stumble their way into an early pick,
Bridgewater's solid.
It's funny
Bridgewater
'cause
is solid.
I didn't think Bridgewater was going to be able to
This
get
was
it done
out
with that
C-Mac, too.
offense. I didn't think he was going to be able to get it done, but you look at Robbie Anderson taking a huge step on that offense, and somehow they're
Robbie Anderson's still Robbie Anderson. He's just not with the Jets
Fast.
anymore.
which is true,
He's fast.
But like the fact that you're 0-2 with Christian McCaffrey in the lineup, and then you're 2-0 without him in the lineup, it's a little funky for me. And I think part of me thinks that Carolina's due for a loss and Atlanta's due for a W.
That's my logic.
I personally don't want to touch this game, but I like the logic on the Carolina side.
All right, I'm going to close out the Lock of the Week segment here. I mean, with the coronavirus pushed back slate, I mean, there's not much to go with. Like, I feel like there's only a select amount of locks a week that you can really choose from. I'm going to – it's really bad that I have to kind of, like, pick a different game for this because, I mean, I really wanted to go with the Colts, but, I mean – I'm going to go with the Rams minus 7.5. That hook, the little
like
captain hook there after the 7.5, kind of freaks me out a little bit. Only because we don't know what we're going to get from Kyle Allen this week. I mean, he showed that he was a viable backup in Carolina, but look, it's a brand new team with less weapons. I just think the Rams are a class above, and they should be able to win this game by 10 points or more. I mean, it's in Washington, so that scares me a little bit, but the Rams have been on the East Coast. They're doing their job, and then they have the ability to go out and score points. So, look, I'm going to lock in the Rams at minus 7.5. So I think we're going to move along now. Let's go to the Sunday night game, and then we'll go to Make the Case. Then we'll go to Monday night, and then we'll wrap it up. So let's go to our Sunday night game with the Vikings visiting the Seahawks. The line is set at Seahawks minus 7. The total set at a whopping 57. Seattle's minus 300 on the money line, and the Vikings at plus 265. Initial thoughts? What do you guys got?
Vikings. Money line.
Wow.
You are crazy! You're crazy!
You got to be crazy to make money, baby. All right, so Vikings
You're
money line.
crazy!
The Seahawks are going to win this game, but 7 points. That's a little much for my liking. It seems the last 2 weeks the Vikings offense has woken up. Like, they finally figured out, like, hey, like, we're probably pretty good. And Kirk Cousins is –
In what? Kirk Cousins in what, though? It's an 8:20 game. It's Kirk Cousins in.
Oh, shit.
Prime
Prime time.
It's in prime time!
He's due for one. No, but 7 points. I mean, like, the Seahawks, their offense is terrific. Russell Wilson, MVP right now, if either him or Aaron Rodgers. But Jamal Adams out. Quentin Dunbar out. That secondary is a little thin.
Dunbar is questionable.
And even if he is in, like, he's going to be hobbled. Like, I see a shootout. So, honestly, over 57, I want to take it. So, I'm not going to make it a pick, but
Kirk Cousins is not going to put up the points. I think he can keep it close, but he's not going to put the points up for the over.
I'm going to see what happens, with that line going into Sunday night. If it drops a couple points, maybe, but I think it stays a close game. Like they put up 30 points 2 weeks in a row against. Let me see. I have it here.
Titans and the Texans.
Yeah, so Texans, Titans, like, I guess the teams that like should have good defenses, but they're kind of underperforming this year. But
Dalvin Cook's not out, but he did get banged up last week at some point in the game. I mean, I know it's expected, but
and also
he doesn't have a designation, but
this is a must-win game for the Vikings.
Yes, but okay, so this is where you look at Minnesota as a run-first offense, and that's how they've been ever since Zimmer has been a head coach. Minnesota they're second overall in the league with 5.3 yards per carry on the ground because they're averaging the 5th most attempts per game. Seattle is
those really don't correlate because your yards per attempt don't increase as you get more attempts. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of those two stats don't really go together.
Okay, well, Seattle is 6th best overall in the league, only giving up around 3.4 yards per carry on the run. So the only way to beat Seattle is through the air, but now we've already talked about Kirk Cousins prime time through the air. Now, Justin Jefferson has already exceeded expectations being a rookie wide receiver. The past 2 weeks getting close to 100 yards per game. But you look at the overall team and the way that the Vikings play, I can't see them straying away from the run too much. They're going to put the ball in Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison's hands, and it's going to be all on them. If Dalvin Cook can score 2 touchdowns, if him and Madison can put together 2 or 3 touchdowns, then the game is going to be close. But if they can't muster a touchdown, then it's going to be on Kirk Cousins, and you're going to see a game, I think, similar
against a very thin secondary in with Seattle. Then Kirk Cousins.
Doesn't matter.
He can play. He's a solid quarterback.
It doesn't
like you
matter.
say, Kirk Cousins in prime time.
It's
not him. It's like he's playing he's had some bad games. It's not like it's every single time he's just shit the bed in prime time. There's times when he throws for 350.
Russell Wilson has accounted
touchdowns.
for 16 touchdowns. 16, 1-6.
I'm not talking about Russell Wilson. I'm talking about Seattle defense.
You look at Russell Wilson, and he's gonna put up way more points as a quarterback by himself as opposed to that whole offense, that whole Minnesota offense. You look at least 3 touchdowns from Russell Wilson, a touchdown or 2 from the running game, and that's 5 touchdowns in total. I don't see the Vikings scoring.
Think about it, though.
touchdowns.
You're getting a touchdown from Vegas.
Yeah,
Okay, so they win by
That's
4
the point
touchdowns. I just think it's stupid not to think that Seattle.
34-30
right.
Seattle.
What's your pick?
Seattle -7.
Minnesota +7.
Okay, Sam.
And money line.
You're crazy. You're crazy.
Crazy money makes money. Okay.
You're insane. You're insane. You are insane.
I cannot wait for Wednesday.
You're
Anna, what do we got?
insane, bro. You're insane.
I'm taking Seattle -7.
Thank you.
To echo
Ah.
Nick a little bit, I think it's important to note that the Minnesota Vikings want to play on the ground, right? Madison and Dalvin Cook are one of the better 1-2 punches in the game, right? But if Seattle can go up 14-0 and they're still going to try to run the game, or they're still going to they're going to force Kirk Cousins into making plays, I don't think Kirk Cousins can make those types of plays. I don't think he can come back from 14. I don't think he can come back from that extra 7 that he's getting. So I gotta go Seattle -7.
Thank you.
A lot of assumptions how this game's gonna go.
Sam, I'm going with you. I'm going to take Minnesota with a touchdown.
Let's go, baby.
You're insane.
Look, I don't want to hear it from anybody, but Kirk Cousins can put the points up. I mean,
What
It's
are you watching? What kind of
It's in
football
prime
game?
time.
The last 2 fucking weeks when he's put up 30. That's what I'm looking at.
look.
He doesn't. Dude, Dalvin Cook is scoring 2 touchdowns a game. He's not. Kirk Cousins isn't doing anything.
Then cool. Dalvin Cook can put up 2 touchdowns again.
All I'm saying is I got Adam Thielen on my fantasy team, and he doesn't get 25 points a week by himself. Leave it at that. We're going to move on to make the case. I'm going to kick it off here. And, Nick, just because you're screaming all day, I'm going to steal it. I'm going to make the case for the Dolphins +9.
Yes.
baby! Yeah.
Yes, baby. Yes.
Look, it's almost Tua time. Ryan Fitzpatrick has already expressed his full support for Tua. He said he's going to be his biggest cheerleader on the sideline when the time is up.
Ooh, I did not see that.
Ryan Fitzpatrick is just having fun, and the world knows that. So I don't have to really
He
harp on
always
it.
is, bro. He's always having a good time.
He's always vibing.
He's always
What is
having
he,
a good time.
38
Look,
years old?
this San Francisco team is beat up, and this Dolphins team fights. And I'm a huge fan of Brian Flores. I love what he's doing in Miami. This team is not anywhere close to contention, but they fight. They play hard for that guy. And you're going to give me 9 points on a team who isn't as bad as they used to be, playing against a banged-up team, and they play for their head coach. I'll take the 9 points, and that's my case. No, I'm not sprinkling. No, I'm not sprinkling. Not this week. No, I can't.
I mean, it's hard to not agree with the way that it's hard to not agree with taking the Dolphins pretty much week to week to week. I mean, you look at, and like Stick's saying, with the way that they're playing under Brian Flores, with the intention and the intensity that they're playing with, it's just hard not to believe in them. You look at San Fran, and they just really haven't impressed me this season, even losing to Philly Monday night last week. I mean, yeah, they might be getting Jimmy G back and Mostert.
Jimmy G is not going to win you a game, though. He's a game
not gonna
manager.
win you a game. But even when they were full strength against Arizona their opening week, they just didn't look the same that they looked. They just didn't look the same that they looked last year. I don't expect a blowout. I expect a very close game, and I think, Miami can win. So I'm all aboard the Miami train every single week. I will
Sprinkles, baby.
I will sprinkle a little money line on this
money
because
for
I
for
very
the
much
Dolphins.
believe in the Miami Dolphins. I very much believe in Ryan Fitzpatrick as a whole. So I'm 100% on board with you right there, Stick. 100%.
All right. Who's next? Who's up?
Go ahead,
You want me to
Sam.
go? I'll go if no one's got anything to say.
I'm ready to go.
Go ahead,
Go for
Sammy.
it.
Go ahead.
So my make the case. So I'm not gonna lie. I don't have a lot of set logic behind this pick. Besides,
Doesn't matter. You gotta just make the case.
It's a gut feeling. The Bengals plus 13 against
I don't hate
the
it.
Ravens.
I don't hate it at all.
That's a great shout. That's a
Joey
great shout.
Burrow got his first taste of victory, and I don't think he's ready to give that up quite yet.
Yeah,
He doesn't want
winning
to
is
go back
fun.
to losing. And granted, it was against the Jaguars, a very, very bad football team. But, yeah, Ravens are obviously they're a lot better than the Bengals. Like, they feast on, the lower teams in the league, but I really
You want me to help you out with a quick stat here to back you
Yep.
up?
Well,
Yeah, I would love that. I would love that,
I'll go
actually.
Joe
Dude.
Burrow has 3 straight yards of 300-plus passing yards.
Yes. So that's what I was going to say. Not only does Burrow he has thrown for 300 yards in his last 3 games, 6 touchdowns,
It's
1
only
interception.
is it 4 games actually? He's
Both
legit.
of their losses came within 1 score. Burrow was
They're
out there trying to prove his
3-1
worth
against the spread.
Listen, Burrow
Goat
was out there
status
proving
right there.
himself. And as good as the Ravens' defense is, they've allowed the
I'm
7th
not
most passing yards in the
convinced on
NFL.
that defense.
Huh?
I'm not convinced on that defense right now.
No, they've allowed the 7th most passing yards in the NFL. They're second.
Well, once they got a real team when they played the Chiefs, they got torched on both sides of the ball.
I mean,
Granted, the Cincy is nowhere near that, and that's not what I'm saying. But 13's a lot of points.
It's a lot of points, and
Like
and you look at
31-21, that's
Burrow
very
out there
doable.
Proving himself,
It's a
and
divisional game.
13 points is a lot. And you look at the offense on Cincinnati as a whole. T. Higgins has showed out. A.J. Green is just kind of there. Tyler Boyd is kind of a stud. Mixon's kind of a stud. I mean, they have enough.
They got
firepower to
weapons.
win this game.
I think they can keep it somewhat close. What I'm saying, 31-21. I feel like that's a very reasonable score right there. 10 points. Hey, it's still a cover.
It's definitely possible. All right.
I don't hate it. I don't see why the if
I
there's
don't have
a
logic
possibility-
behind it. It's more just a
there's a
gut
possibility
feeling.
there's a possibility the Ravens just don't wake up for this game if they're see Bengals on the schedule, if they see rookie quarterback on the schedule, they might just be sleepwalking.
Hey, your average rookie, but
Yeah,
I know. I get what you're saying though.
yeah. Or they can come out and try to do too much against Joe Burrow, against a rookie. And if Joe Burrow's as good as advertised, then he might be able to pick him apart. So either way, I think this is a pretty safe bet. Which I guess I can lean into my make the case, and I got a confession to make, and it's I enjoy watching Las Vegas Raiders football.
I agree.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
on your knees.
I
That's
know.
bad.
I know. I went to my local church. I went to confession.
Our
and he
Lady in the
told me-
Valley.
And he told me
No free ads.
that I wore a mask, of course. And I told the guy, and he was like, "No, they're actually really good." And I was like, "All right, man, thank you, Father." No, but I like watching them play. I feel like Derek Carr has been a phenomenal quarterback this season, and really in his past 10, 15 games, he's been really good, like top 5, top 6 level of production. The Chiefs last week absolutely dog walked the Patriots, right?
Well,
They dog walked Brian Hoyer and the Patriots.
no, listen. It was close until the end. There was a pick 6, and that was it.
Yeah, and that's what I want to get at. I don't think
It
Derek
wasn't a
Carr's making the
dog
mistake. I don't think Derek Carr's making the mistakes that Brian Hoyer makes. Obviously, the
correct.
Patriots defense is a lot better than what the 49ers try to throw out there, and Max
is
Crosby
John
and
Gruden
Clelin
as good
Ferrell.
of a coach as Bill Belichick?
No, Nobody is. But I think John Gruden has enough offensive gusto to try to put up some numbers and try to at least keep it within 9 or 10 points. I believe this line right now is at
It's
I have
11 and a half.
it's 11.5. I feel comfortable taking that. Even if
I love that.
this feels like a backdoor cover. Like they could be down 17 the entire time and get that garbage time touchdown
Sneaky
and put
backdoor
it up 10.
covers.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, my microphone fell. Jesus.
You got to also remember this is a divisional game.
Yeah, it's rivalry week.
Yeah.
And not to mention, Derek
the
Carr
only
is completing almost 74% of his passes.
Yeah, exactly. He's been
a wide receiver.
I'm pretty sure he's yet to throw a pick yet, correct?
I don't know.
Run an interception. He plays really safe, and they have a decent running game too that I think can keep
Josh Jacobs
with
is that
Josh
dude.
Jacobs. Yeah, that can keep that Chiefs team on their toes. I don't know if I feel like a little dirty taking him because it's the MVP and it's Pat Mahomes, but I'm riding with Derek Carr.
I like the pick because look, if you look at that Chiefs
I
defense,
love
like
that pick.
they have guys there. They have Anthony Hitchens in the middle who's really come on as a good linebacker for them. But who on that defense realistically is going to cover Darren Waller? I'm being serious.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Who?
It should be Willie Gay Jr., who has
Rookie.
been ups and downs this entire season. That linebacking core, they've showed up, and that secondary has showed up. But I just see the names, and I
Anyone
can't
cover
I
Darren
can't
Waller
buy it.
though? That's
Darren Waller is what Evan Engram should be. And
I'm starting with this week. And
This
I'm,
game is
a
this
mismatch.
game is going to come down to how well that offensive line for the Raiders can protect Derek Carr. Can they give him a chance to make plays? And Steve Spagnuolo is going to bring the pressure every opportunity. He's been
Love
one of
that,
the better
man.
offensive coordinators since he's left the Giants. And shocker, that's what happens.
defensive
when you have talent.
coordinators.
Defensive coordinators. This is what happens when you have talent. So. It's a big pressure spot. I think the Raiders are pretty good. I'm not going to call them legit, but I'm going to call them pretty good.
all right, Nick, round it out.
I think that's a good segue into me. So we talk about Kansas City, or you talked about Kansas City and Pat Mahomes. So Pat Mahomes, his career passer rating is a 109.4.
Is that good?
Cowboys defense is allowing
insane.
a passer
good.
rating of 114.3.
Oh my God.
That's not good.
Oh, I already know what you're saying.
So you know what I'm saying here?
Let's go, baby.
So I'm talking about the Giants plus 10 on the road.
It's 8.5
Again,
now.
8.5. We can't be given faulty lines here. What is it, Nick?
It's 8.5.
I will take them 8.5. So
Yikes.
here we go.
I'll take
So
the
the
minus
NFC East,
8.5.
the NFC East has obviously been the laughingstock of the NFL. The division is a combined 3-12-1,
As is tradition.
which is it's funny because the NFC East used to be the powerhouse and now it's the complete laughingstock.
Yeah, like 12 years ago.
The Cowboys have turned the ball over 9 times in 4 games, and they're at the bottom of the NFL in turnover differential at -7. So if they can take care of the ball, they might be able to take it. They might be able to be okay. But I know today, Mano and I were talking about how good the Giants' defense is this year. Now,
five.
the Giants aren't winning football games because their offense is so horrendous.
Bottom
And-
five.
Huh?
Bottom five offense. Top
Correct.
5 defense.
I would give the bottom. I don't care. Give them like Great Bear. They're they're terrible, and we're
Guardians.
all Giants.
New York Giants.
We're all Giants fans here, and I can guarantee you, all 4 of us have watched the Giants play abysmally in the past 4 weeks, and it's tough to watch.
They looked good against Pittsburgh at times, but since then it's been the dumpster fire.
They look
So-
good against the Rams, to be fair. Unless
They
we're talking
did.
about the
Now-
offense.
Now
To be
that's
fair.
another thing is last week against the Rams, they showed a lot of grit and a lot of toughness, especially towards the end of that game. You see, Man and I talked about Nick Gates getting in a fight with Aaron Donald. Talked about Golden Tate getting in a fight with Jalen Ramsey. These guys are kind of pissed off that they're not
Well, there was some personal stuff I think with
Yeah.
Tate and Ramsey.
I wouldn't throw the
There's
Tate
some-
Ramsey in there, but
There's some behind the scenes action where
These guys are kind of pissed off they're not winning football games, and I completely I mean, as a fan, I'm pissed off, but knowing that the team, the players are itching to win a football game makes me feel better, especially as a fan, but as a gambler too. The Cowboys, they're leading the league with 8 yards per attempt. And that's top 15 in the league, and that's fine. But I talk about the Giants' defense, who is again top 10 in the league. We talk about James Bradbury III, who's who's exceeded expectations. Blake Martinez, our middle linebacker, who's exceeded expectations, who's top 5 in the league in tackles. Our defensive line is pretty good. I can see this is a game where Daniel Jones kind of finally figures it out. And this is a revenge game for Jason Garrett, too. Jason Garrett's kind of been ousted by the Cowboys, especially for the past 3-4 years. Nobody wanted him in there as a head coach. And this is his time to kind of get back and get right against Jerry Jones and that franchise as a whole. The Cowboys secondary as a whole is giving up 7.4 yards per pass attempt, which is 25th
Swiss
in the league.
cheese, bro.
So you're talking about a defense who just kind of gets pulled apart by every team that they've played this year. And 8 points is a lot of points. And, I mean, the Giants haven't won against the Cowboys in 4 years. And I'm not saying the Giants are
They're due.
They're due. But, listen, I'm not saying the Giants are going to win on Sunday. Would it be great? Yes. But you're talking about a 4:30 game, a primetime game on Sunday, and I feel real comfortable taking the Giants here. And I took them last week plus 12.5 in the last 3 seconds of this podcast. And I just really feel good about the Giants this week. Like I said, the kind of grit that they showed last week against the Rams makes me feel really good about this week.
I think this is probably like when I remember back to draft night, when the Cowboys made that pick at 17 or 16, whatever it was, and they picked CD Lamb, I said, oh shit. And this is exactly why. You now have Amari Cooper, CD Lamb, and Michael Gallup. 3 guys, Amari Cooper a number 1, and then 2 number 2s behind him. CeeDee Lamb is already a number 2 in this league. I don't care. His speed alone creates an opportunity for him to be a good number 2 in this league. Then you look at the Giants secondary. I know that the defense has been good, but that's been primarily Blake Martinez, James Bradbury, which is part of the secondary, but he's only one piece of the secondary. There's 3 receivers that they have to cover. And the D-line has been good. If the Giants don't get the pressure, which I'm not solely convinced that they're going to do, I think they can do it. But you look at the Cowboys' offensive line, that's what they've touted for years and years and years, is an offensive line. So if the Cowboys can neutralize that defensive line and the Giants don't get pressure, that secondary is going to get picked apart. I don't care who James Bradbury is covering because you still have, even if he's on Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb's going to be open because of the speed, and Michael Gallup's going to be open.
Okay.
And I just think this is a really big mismatch, and I'm really afraid to watch on Sunday.
That offense does not help. That defense is.
It's just
atrocious.
scary. And then you have Zeke. You're not even thinking about Zeke
this-
and Dak.
Yeah, neither is
scary.
Mike McCarthy's not thinking about Zeke. He's getting like
That's also
14
true. That's a
touches
good
a
point.
game.
It's a great
My
play.
thing with this game is it's going to be a huge offense versus offense game. The Cowboys are allowing a.
What's the
league
over
worst-
on that game? What, 54?
I'll get it for you. Yeah, 54.
Okay, so the Cowboys are allowing a league worst 36.5 points a game, and they have the 3rd worst coverage grade and the 4th worst rushing defense.
We scored 9 points against a depleted Niners defense, Nick. What do you think is going to happen?
This is the get right game.
I don't care. I don't care.
The
We
Giants
gotta
are
believe
really-
at some
the
point,
Giants are-
okay?
Okay, so
Gotta
the
keep
Giants-
believing.
Okay, so I talked about this with Mano earlier this morning, especially when we're talking about Washington and about how Dwayne Haskins got benched and he got put in a really bad situation. This season is really tough for teams that are getting new coaching staffs. So you're looking at no preseason, no preparation. You know, I'll talk about the Giants. Daniel Jones hasn't had time to adjust to Jason Garrett or Garrett's offense. He hasn't had time to adjust and figure it out. So, I mean, he's had 4 games, and this might be the 5th game where he can get it right. You know, the Cowboys are actually pretty lucky that they have won a game. They should not have beat the Falcons in that first game. The Cowboys should be 0-4. I just really think that
Good
this
point.
is a get-right game for the Giants, and I think plus 8.5 is good here. I don't want to take it because I know if I take it, they're going to lose or they're not going to cover. So I'm not going to gamble on it, but I will talk about it here, and I feel comfortable with that.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to Monday night. There are actually 2 Monday night games. One is tentative. It's a coronavirus pushback. The Broncos and the Patriots. But the one and there's no line for that out yet, so we're not going to talk about it because we're a sports betting show and we don't have a betting line. But we are going to talk about the Chargers against the Saints. That's an 8:15 game on Monday. The other one is tentatively set for 5 o'clock. The Saints are 8-point favorites against the Chargers in New Orleans. Total set at 50.5. You can get New Orleans on the money line at minus 380 and the Chargers at plus 300 here. I'm going to kick it off. I think that this Chargers team can cover 8 points against the Saints.
Yeah. Yes.
The Saints haven't really impressed me whatsoever. Justin Herbert, I think, is really showing that he's got the capabilities to be a good quarterback in this league. No, they haven't been winning. Yes, they've been competitive. I feel like it's the story of the Chargers over the last couple of years. Like last year, they lost like how many games within 3 points? I don't know the record, but it's a lot.
They went like 6-10, but easily could have been like 10-6, 11-5.
Yeah, I mean, look, Drew Brees is on the decline. He's in his twilight years. He still has his ability to show flashes of greatness and why he's Drew Brees and why he's a future Hall of Famer. But I just think this Chargers team is way too competitive. Like even with Eckler out, I think Joshua Kelly and Justin Jackson are two good running backs behind him that have the ability to mix it up, and they're going to be able to get the job done on the ground. And the one thing that really pisses me off about the Chargers, and I think if they get him involved, their offense just creates a completely new dimension, and that's Hunter Henry. He used to be on the intro to our podcast last season. He's not on the intro anymore. But throw the man the ball. He's one of the best tight ends in the league. I don't understand, but I just think the Chargers can definitely get this done.
I want to go quick off of what you were talking about with the running game too. Last week it was tough for Josh Kelly and Josh Jackson because they played the Bucs, who are in the league. They're the best rushing defense in the league. So obviously they're going to struggle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the weeks prior when they played the Panthers and the Bengals, they were averaging 5.3 yards per carry. So obviously that rushing duo can get it done. And you talk about the weapons that Justin Herbert has. You talked about Hunter Henry, but you look at Keenan Allen, who's just such a staple in this league, who's such a staple in this just Chargers offense, who's arguably he might be one of the most underrated wide receivers in the league. He's a crazy route runner. He goes up and gets the ball. You talk about Mike Williams, who's a crazy a red zone threat, who's a tall wide receiver on the edge who can easily be an outlet for Justin Herbert. And Herbert in general, he's been throwing – his passer rating is 102.2. I mean, he's there. And Anthony Lynn has just recently in the past day expressed that he is ready to make Justin Herbert the starter of that offense.
He did it.
I think he officially did announced that.
Exactly. He came out and said, listen, I drafted Justin Herbert's going to be a starter. I drafted him to be the starter, and this is how it's going to be. So Herbert's got the full confidence of his head coach. The whole offense is behind him. And 8.5 points against New Orleans, you talk about an empty stadium. That's what I'm also thinking about. You look at New Orleans, and if they had that stadium full and they have Michael Thomas, maybe I'd feel a little different. But Breeze looks like he's on a decline. You look at an empty stadium over here. Their defense is good, but their offense hasn't been really that impressive. The only impressive part was Alvin Kamara. The rest of it hasn't really been too crazy. So I feel great taking the Chargers plus 8.5 here.
I guess I'm the lone. R.I.P.
Go ahead, man. Don't tell.
I'm going to take New Orleans here. I just think they're the better team. I just think better team wins, better team covers.
Better team wins doesn't mean it covers, bro.
I think they're gonna cover. I don't think it's gonna be much of a game. Despite all the struggles that you guys have mentioned, this Saints team is still 5th in the league in scoring. They average 30 points.
But you can read it.
Yikes. No, I'm taking New Orleans. They're despite their struggles, they still have the 5th ranked scoring offense in the league, right? The problem is they give up just as many points as they score. 30.8 on the dot exactly for scoring and points they've given up. The problem is for the Chargers that their offense isn't that good. They rank 27th out of 32 in scoring offense. They've only scored 83 times this year. And you're right, Justin Herbert has looked solid. I mean, he's throwing the ball downfield with like dudes in his face and he's completing passes. If you look last week, the dudes that he completed passes to are like basically nobodies. And I'm not expecting those. I'm not going to bet my money on those nobodies showing up again. So if Lattimore can lock down Keenan Allen, I'm perfectly comfortable letting the 2 backup running backs and some scrubs I've never heard of that they picked off the practice squad last week, as opposed to a
no name. You're talking about Mike Williams, Hunter Henry. You're talking about all pros.
They didn't play. They're not going to play. They're
He's gonna
out.
play. What do you mean he's not gonna play?
They're out.
He's not out.
We were out
Mike
last
Williams
week.
is
and
not
there was a bunch
out.
of
Mike
ones.
Williams is not out.
Okay. All right. I'm still taking New Orleans. They're a better
Who's Drew
team
Brees
by
throwing to
leaps and
besides
bounds.
Emmanuel Sanders? Who's Drew Brees throwing to besides Emmanuel Sanders?
Alvin Kamara,
The
about
best running back in the
25
league
times
right
a
now,
game.
Alvin Kamara.
Who else? Who else?
Their
Who else?
entire
It doesn't
playbook
matter.
is checked
Okay,
down
the
to
the
Alvin
Carolina
Kamara.
Panthers have had the best running back in the league, and they were 0-2. So what's your argument there?
Kamara's a better running back.
Than Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I would take Kamara over Christian McCaffrey. I don't think it's debatable. We can have this argument another time, but I
you
just
know, this
don't-
is not the time for
It's
it.
debatable. It's debatable. Yeah. It's not like a
Anything's
flat out
debatable,
no.
but I'm telling you, McCaffrey's a better running back.
It's definitely not a
I
flat
just
out
think-
no. There's an argument to be made.
Can you
Yeah.
give Kamara the ball 30 times a game?
Yeah, he does. He gets it, whether it's
And
through
then
the
he
air or
gets
on the
hurt.
ground.
He gets hurt.
What do you
Yeah,
mean?
he's getting the ball
man.
that made right now
He got hurt
because
this year.
there's no
Christian
Michael
McCaffrey
Thomas.
is hurt.
He's not even playing in either of these two games, so
I don't know. All right, Sam, Chargers money line, you're going with it?
No, I'm going with plus 8.5.
Okay.
Plus 8, whatever it is. It might
All
be a
right,
little sprinkle come like game time if I'm like maybe had a good weekend, but you know, plus 8.5. New Orleans should win this game, but I think it's close.
All right, as
you,
Nick
you touched on anything I was going to say, so.
As Nick cowers in distress, I'm just going to point out that there is going to be a Tuesday night game most likely. It's going to be Bills-Titans. There's no line for that, so we can't touch on that either.
I can't believe you just told me that Alvin Kamara.
yeah, he is.
Nick, we'll
I mean,
save
that's fine.
save it for
It's
like
possible.
5 minutes from now.
We'll save
Hey,
it.
Can we talk about this Bills game anyway, even though we don't have a line on it?
It might not even happen. I don't want to waste airtime on it.
Bills by
We can
1,000.
pop
That's
on.
all that matters.
What is it, Bills Titans?
Yeah.
There's no spread, so it's
There's no spread. There's nothing to talk about. Like, I don't know.
Titans haven't been inside their facility in a year, so who cares about what the Titans do? Bills.
Yeah, Bills
Correct.
by 1,000 if they play.
Yeah, Bills by 1,000. Josh Allen should be in the running for MVP this year. He's a great quarterback. That offense is good. Their defense is fantastic. Forget about it.
All right. That just about wraps up this episode of the capsON podcast,
I
capsON
can't
Sports
believe-
podcast.
I can't-
Nick's pissed off here, but as he's throwing pillows, you can follow us on Twitter at capsON Sports, on Instagram capson.sports. Check out the website capsonsports.com. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And until next week, my name is Tyler Blumenstick, alongside Anthony Mano, Nick Tobias, and Sam Meehan, and we'll see you next week.